Good evening, Gooners. Do not adjust your sets. This is not a test. This is not a drill. We're managing George's minutes, so he's off in Turin or somewhere near Turin. I've been given the captain's armband, which is about as crazy as putting Katie McCabe in charge of discipline. But hey, I've got 4 people here to keep me in check. Good evening, Laura. Keeping up the Arsenal and Scottish tradition. How you doing, Laura?
I'm good, thank you, Andrew. Yourself?
I'm good. And all the way down south, we've got Chantel on the south coast.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I might have to move up to London with all this travelling I'm doing.
Yeah. Although from what I hear from our London colleagues, it's actually just as it's just as quick living outside London as it is moving in there. But hey, there we've got Mr. Jack. How you doing, Jack?
Oh, I'm good. To be fair, I've managed to get my ticket for the Juventus home game. I can't lie. I wish I was going to Torino. I've been to Torino once. I've seen Juventus once before, and it was that long ago. They had Del Piero up front, so quite jealous of George and all those who have gone. But I'm sure they're going to have an absolute quality time. It's a great city.
Fair. Yeah, no, never been myself either. But hey, there you go. And of course, top of the bill, we've got our Paul. How you doing, Mr. T?
Good, all good. Same as Jack. Wish I was out there in Turin, but this is the second best place to be on a Monday night.
I suppose so. I guess the weather's a little less chilly than it is here, but there we go. Okay. And I'm absolutely delighted to get this show because it's probably the first one we've had where we've come away from a really, really good result. So I'm happy about that. Chantel, how are you feeling before the game against Brighton? Any nerves? Any worries?
Do you know what? It's so hard nowadays with Arsenal because we've gone from a rough patch to going on the high, and you always think, when is it gonna do a drop? But I think looking back at Brighton's start, they've had to play City, to play Man U, and they've come out either drawing or 1-0 loss, which for Brighton with their new signings that they've made is really good for them. And being higher on the table than us, it was a game that I thought, this could be one that really tests Renee in charge. But I wasn't too worried because obviously last season we ended on Brighton with a 5-0 win. So it's better to keep up that trend of just 5-0 wins against Brighton nowadays.
Yeah, if we could make that a staple, that would be all right, wouldn't it? Paul, no Mariona. How did you feel when you saw that come up on your timeline?
Yeah, that was a little bit a bit of a shock, but I think we played well anyway. Like I say, a bit of a shock, but we've got the players there. We're not gonna. The whole team doesn't revolve around one person, and we've got the depth there to swap it and change it around a little bit.
Yeah, true story. I mean, do you think we've seen the best of her yet?
I think so. I think she's still growing into that position in the team, and I reckon it's going to take another 4 or 5 matches of consistency playing with the squad that we've got before she sort of really comes out and we can really see what she's got.
Yeah. Gonna lead into Jack here because he's probably one of the. Did you know of her? I mean, I'm just leading into your international TV work.
I knew of her, but I very much thought she was just a cog in the Barcelona system, to be fair. And I mean, when you're playing in a team that has Bonmati and Puteus, I think it's quite hard for anyone at all to get noticed. But yeah, no, I've been impressed with her. I mean, I was surprised by her age when I saw it, partly I think due to the fan reaction, I don't know. I almost thought we were signing a 38-year-old at one point, but no, she is absolutely quality, and I think it's actually taking the Arsenal girls who have been there a few years getting used to being on her level. I've heard things that have come out from training saying that they've been shocked by how good she is, and it is everyone almost catching on to the wavelengths, and I think it's not going to be long before we see an even better. I mean, she's in a shout at the moment already for our player of the season, but I think there's still gears to go.
True story. Talking of age, happy birthday, Caitlin Ford. I believe it's her birthday today. 30. I mean, having the season of a career at the moment, isn't she, Laura? I mean, is this the best we've seen of Caitlin, or is it just because she's been almost flogged to death because of the absence of one Lena Hurtig? But what do you think of Caitlin's form at the moment, Laura?
I've been saying it since the start of the season that this is Caitlin Ford's season. She's really showed this season. She's worth our team. I know last season I was one of the ones that was kind of like, what did she provide for our team going forward in the future? And I think she's just really proven my point that I'm wrong in that situation. It's refreshing to see. It's nice to see. But I think Mariona coming in has gave her that slight push. Like I've said before, Nikita Paris did it to Beth Mead. We've seen the best of Beth Mead in that season.
Good point.
And I think it's maybe been the same for Caitlin going forward, that there's been somebody there that could possibly take her spot and is 100 times better than her. And she's thought, no, I'm not letting that spot up, which is good because we need that. We need that going forward in the season ahead of us. It's been a long season so far for us, and hopefully this is the start of a short season coming in for us with wins and smiles back on the faces of the players. And
Indeed.
Rama, so it is. It's nice to see.
Very much so. Very much so. Just a slight turn here because how did we? Who was at the game and who wasn't at the game? Just so I kind of want to get views of both sides. Were you there, Paul?
I was there. Yep.
Yeah, I was going to say Friday Night Lights. And how did the atmosphere feel to you? Considering it was, when I say only, still the one of the best. I mean, I think we even outsold. I think there was either Luton or somebody. We still had a bigger crowd than Luton men's team. But how did you feel about Friday nights and the atmosphere on Friday?
It was the best atmosphere of the season that I've been to. It was. There's something about the evening games under the lights, whether it's a Champions League game, whether it's a WSL game. There is just a different atmosphere. And somebody said in one of the chats that these are a lot of the ones that go to the evening games, the spectators, are the genuine fans. They're not just the ones that we'll just go for a day out to watch some of the footballers that they know off TV. Just sort of one here, one.
Yeah, that's
so
interesting.
These were the 22,000.
Sorry, Paul. I think you keep freezing there. Is that just me, or is Paul keeps freezing?
Yeah, the whole thing just froze me. Yeah, sorry about that.
Oh, no worries. We got the gist of it. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, personally, for me, it was great having a football game in and still having the whole weekend to myself. But I suppose it is tricky for some. Getting down on a Friday night if you're working. And having to get down, I imagine, sort of for someone like Laura, that would mean we're just not happening. Can I knock off an hour early, Gaffer? You're going to need more than that, I imagine.
Yeah, I know Chantel was saying that she's possibly thinking of moving closer to where we were actually looking last season to moving from Glasgow down into Surrey, where our friend is, and we were really considering it, but the price difference from Glasgow to London is totally different.
The old north-south divide there, yeah, for sure. But what did you think? I mean, how did it come across on the TV with the atmosphere?
Yeah, the atmosphere on TV seemed a whole lot better. Very loud. You could hear it. I know those voices that you hear straight away. You can hear them. You can point them out straight away who it is that's starting the chants. But yeah, again, it was refreshing to hear the people sing happily, considering the result that they gave us. They gave us something to sing about. So it did.
True story. Yeah. Sergeant Major George right behind me. He's normally and I get an elbow in the back of the head if I took a break or anything. So, God, tough taskmaster. I'll stay with you, Laura, on this while we just go 5 goals. Now, I guess objectively, Frida's was the best, but almost emotionally and kind of looking at what it meant to each individual player or whatever. I'll let you define your own terms. But what do you think was the most important or your favourite goal of the night?
I think the most important goal was Beth Mead's. I think she needed that. She needs a bit of confidence back in her, and it was a classic Beth Mead goal. That cut in, back on the other foot, in the back of the net. And you could see the smile on her face that she just needed that kind of goal and that kind of positivity going forward. So Beth Mead's goal for me was one of the better ones. And of course, it's the first goal that kicks us off. So
true. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
What about you, Chantal? What was your one to mark?
I don't know. It's so
it's great to have such a choice, isn't it?
I mean, yeah, out of the 5, I mean, like Laura said, the one that's first kind of kicks off the game for how it's going to go. And I think the build up of that play of the one touch, passing it quickly, it just gave us that build up of having Beth on the edge of the box to chop it in bottom corner. I really liked the I know this is going to be cliche, but I really liked Hertig's goal because not only was it her first goal, but it was from a set piece. And
yes,
we've been stuck in that department. So it was nice to finally have a corner that went well and we scored from it. And I know during the game it was given as an own goal, but I believe the next day or something, they then said, actually, the goal's gone down to Hertig, so I'll give her that. And it shows we miss her in the aerial balls because of her height and what she can do, that it's good to have her back.
100%, yeah. And it's almost like the old cliche that like a new signing. But I don't feel like we've seen the best of Lena. And so, we don't know what we're missing. So, good to have her back in that sense. But yeah, I think she's hardly played. She's played less than 500 minutes or something. It's ridiculous. And I couldn't tell you what she is, but that if that was, we've had a couple of cameos now and she's been terrific. So, and she looks fully fit and well. So, I would definitely co-sign that one, Chantal. What about you, Jack?
Well, I think the most important one might have been the most boring one in a sense, and that was the Russo penalty. Keeps her ticking over. She's cementing herself now as the main striker. I think my favourite one has to be the Frida Marnham. I still think after everything she went through last season,
good point.
We are now where she scores the ordinary boring goals, and we're starting to see the Champions League goals as well being scored. I mean, she's so talented, but also so mentally strong. And I was just going to quickly say on Paul's point, how good is it that we are now saying there was only 22,000 at the Emirates on a Friday night as though it's a disappointment? I mean, I can't think of any teams in League 2, in League 1, very, very few in the Championship. And we're talking bigger than Bournemouth, bigger than Luton. I mean, if anyone ever says that women's football is not sustainable, well, there you go.
Yeah, 100%. And I think and I've noticed it. I think the advertising is toned down a lot. That they kind of almost got this. They know they've got a retained sort of core group that can come without kind of like without anything fancy promises or expensive budgeting. So yeah, great point, Jack. Paul, you can choose one of the other ones, unless you just want to go with it. Which I don't know what the boring one was. I'm trying to think which one that was. Now that would come into fourth. I think we've had all.
I think obviously all the goals were important for different reasons. Like we said, obviously Beth getting us off to a good start. We needed Russo to score just to keep her confidence up. Great to see Lena get a goal as well after coming back from so long out. So yeah, I think all of them were sort of as equally important, but for different reasons with the different players on the pitch.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'm going to stick with you here, Paul, as well, because we are going to move on to a subject dear to your heart. And it was interesting. We had 5 substitutes come on, and I'm going to paraphrase here, so and throw my own spin on it. But when Renee was asked about it, she said that these were probably my words, not hers, but my interpretation of her words, that the 5 most important substitutes were made, and one that was missing was Key Cool. Paul, how did you feel about that? And looking forward to January, what would you do if you were her, and maybe what would you do if you were Arsenal?
I was again very disappointed that she didn't get any game time. I was thinking a game against Brighton that maybe 1 or 2 of those that were brought on, the likes of Kyra and Rosa, may have got the start, and that would have left Catherine available to come off the bench and get a good half an hour or so on the pitch. I was sat in block 2, so I'm just behind the Arsenal bench. And when Rosa got the nod over Catherine, you could see the disappointment on her face that yet again she was warming up all the match and not getting the game time. If I was her, I'd be seriously looking around for another club, because she's a very talented, and I think she'd walk into probably 7 or 8 of the WSL clubs and be a starter for them. We saw that she did with Everton last season. I watched the match that she played in again for the international match a couple of weeks ago, and she was on that pitch and she scored a wonderful goal. And it was a bit like Lena the other night, getting that goal after not playing for so long. It was the same sort of, I got the same feeling as when Viv came against Liverpool last season for us and scored that amazing goal, that it's what she needed and she's ready to play. I don't know how long she's got left on her contract with us. She's been here coming up to 2 years now. I can't see it being much more of maybe the end of this season. And if she's not getting game time, she's not going to renew. I mean, I think the best scenario for Arsenal would be to find her a loan spell till the end of the season, if they can then guarantee her minutes next season. But from her point of view, I think she'd need to be sure in her mind that she is going to get that game time. She's not going to just spend 6 months out at someone like another Everton, end up sat on the bench again. So it's a really tough one. I mean, she's still a young player as well. She's got her whole career ahead of her. She's in one of the best leagues in Europe, the competition, and she's just sat there warming the bench.
Yeah, it's a tough one. And you'd have thought when Vic went down, I'm guessing from my memory that her Cool's best position is as an 8. I don't, you know, sort of, a direct replacement, but but what we've seen is kind of it's been Kimmy, Kyra, and Leah, kind of rotating in that midfield 3, and absolutely nothing for her. So, and I'm guessing, both he who cannot be mentioned and our current manager Renee, they must have seen it and not seen anything they liked, or not enough of what they liked. So yeah, I mean, what would you do if you're? I mean, just the second part of if you were Arsenal, what would you do with her? Given, I suppose, if you were the general manager, not the coach, because I know you'd put her in, you'd put a starter, a goalie, and striker as well. But if you're the general manager and you're not, and you're told, listen, why we, what's your thoughts on paying wages to somebody who's, and equally, I guess there's going to be some incoming in January as well as for Arsenal. Do we need to create space? Loaded question there, Paul. I'm giving you very little out.
Yeah, I mean, the big question is who is going to be our manager or head coach long term? Because if it's going to be Rennie, then something she's seen and something that he saw before her in training is obviously the reason that she's not playing. But a new coach or a new manager might see something else. So I think while we're in this uncertain period, it's very difficult even for the higher up in Arsenal to say, hang on a minute, we're paying that girl's wages, she's not playing a single minute, we need to do something about this. When a new manager might come in and say, actually, she's going to be my starting lineup week in, week out. And no, we don't need to go out and start buying new players. And just wasting money in a sense when we've already got the players in the squad. So I think the decision on the coach manager needs to be made sooner rather than later. And then there'll be some stability in the team, and those players that are not getting the game time will know which route they're going to go down. Because I'd imagine any incoming coach would have conversations with them all and say, look, you're not in my starting lineup. You're not really going to feature in the team. Do you want to move on now, or do you just want to sit here till the end of the season and see your contract out? What's your view on it? So I think the longer we go on without that position confirmed, it's the longer uncertainty for some of these players.
Yep. You smoothly transitioned into a question I've got for Jack about the manager. All I can say on this is the last 3 appointments, I had no idea who they were before. That's Pedro Loza, Joe Montemura, Jonas Seideval. I had no idea who they were until they came to the Arsenal. So I'm not going to speculate. But again, we'll rely on Jack's international knowledge. And I suppose, I think the first question is maybe about one of the questions, Jack, is the sooner or later, or do we stick with Renee, or do you feel there's somebody that's out there that you think could do the job?
I think if we stick with Renee, we've got to make it clear to Renee now that she's there till the end of the season. I think she's doing a very good job under the circumstances that she's got. I think Brighton was probably a better performance than maybe we've realised, considering how good a season that they're having. And almost it was quite interesting hearing the players' interviews afterwards. They still don't really know what went wrong under Jonas. Never mind what went right that game. So she's really having to deal with a really fragile squad. So I think whether we bring in someone new or we stick with Renee, I think it needs to be made clear to the team. I'm actually in the camp stick with Renee at the moment. Give her a 2-year contract and see what she can do. She knows the squad. She knows the team. She knows where she'll want to improve it. I do think a woman manager would not be necessarily a bad thing. And I don't think there's a swell of absolute top quality. There's not an obvious candidate to come in.
No.
And therefore, the sentimental side of me thinks Renee, a former Arsenal youth player, I like the way she talks in the media. I thought her Leah Williamson comments about the highest trees in the wind,
Brilliant.
absolutely loved that. It reminded me a lot of Mikel Arteta, actually, at the start of his reign with Arsenal as well. And what I'm seeing on the pitch is a tactically strong team. I mean, with the Catherine Cole, I think she's an incredible player. I think she's ever so talented. But if your job's on the line, if you're auditioning, are you gonna really drop either Kim Little or Leah Volti? Who, I mean, especially Leah Volti has been outstanding all season. I think she's been one of our best players. And Kim Little's the captain. She's the leader. I think even if she has a bad performance, she brings other qualities onto the pitch that perhaps, I think that's why we're not seeing Kyra Cooney-Cross even load starting. Renee wants the Arsenal job. I think she's made that quite clear in her interviews. And if you're going to do everything you can to get it, you're playing the two midfielders who for years and years and years have never let Arsenal down. Give her till the end of the season and she might be more experimental if she has a bit of job security. But I think anyone in her situation is playing it safe. So I think whether they... I mean, we don't... Now we're losing Edu. We don't technically have a sporting director massively or an infrastructure in behind to even appoint a new manager, which makes it even more interesting in itself, to be fair. Now, I'd stick with Renee. I think she's shown enough. I think the players speak highly of her. I think the big players in the team are talking well of her. And I think she needs the solidity coming into a transfer window. Back her or sack her, basically. I think probably is the best way to put it.
It's catchy. I hear there's a talented young coach on the South Coast doing some marvellous work with the youth team down there. Chantel, Renee in, Renee out. See what I did there?
Thank you.
I thought she's not even clicked what I'm talking about here.
Funny enough, we actually had a cup game this weekend and we won. So
of course you did.
The next round, so.
That's not news.
You know what? I'll just take the position. Why not? That can be my reason to move up to London. It's fine.
There you go. Yeah, you should get. You get paid for it as well. You get Arsenal digs.
Oh, there we go. Plus,
what's your back? Renee in, Renee out. Renee.
Yeah, no, I think for what she's doing, she's definitely there seems to be a turnaround. Although, like Jack said, there's been a couple of statements, not only from Renee, but also there was a Katie McCabe and a Beth Mead statement where Katie said, the dressing room wasn't lost on Jonas. They just didn't have a start. So is she saying that out of respect for him or was something actually just not clicking at the start of it, which then he's decided to take the bullet, which has then taken the pressure off of them to then they've been able to step up and play better. Beth said they know Renee, they know how she works. She's worked with them in different areas of playing and training. So it's kind of like you kind of know what you're working with. So you have that fundamental pillars of a working relationship already. And she's taken to this coaching position as a waters of a duck's back, I believe the quote was used. But they're still unsure if she wants to go for the position fully or that. So I think the ball's in her court. She's backing up her position of staying there for the rest of the season. I think maybe once we play Chelsea, City again, that are going to test us a lot more, depending on the results there. I think that will be a more solidifying answer of where Arsenal stands with her if we get a good result or if they play better and it's not a great result, but it's not as bad as what it was when we played Chelsea not that long ago. then I think that will kind of define where we are going with her staying or not. But I think until we play these teams that are going to test us, and maybe the rematch against Bayern, I don't think there's any justification to bring in someone new when she's getting the results that we need.
Well, there you go. We're all in on Chantal. Now, anyone listening at home, you might want to just put the kids a little out of earshot, because we're going to ask Laura about the cancelled Bayern game.
I mean, not that I'll be there, but it's a silence. It's a silence that's killing me. Like, why such a silence on what's going on? Now, obviously, I've read somewhere that if we obviously can't get the Emirates, that's simple. The Emirates is out of bounds. Then we can't move it to Meadow Park because it doesn't meet the criteria. So therefore, the third thing that we have to then do is forfeit the game and lose points. Now, that's not good enough. That for Arsenal to do that, it's not good enough. So where do we go? What do we do with that? What do people that's paid out money do for, i.e., travel, flights, hotels, things like that? Like, it's a silence that's annoying me for the people that's paid out the money.
It makes you think that someone in the office didn't put a ring around that date and say this could possibly happen. And I mean, I think it's the perfect storm. It is. There's so many things that have played into it. But yeah, someone in that office should have gone, oh, if everything aligns wrongly, then we need to have a backup because of this. And yeah, and I think it does come across as like this has come as a bigger shock to them as it has to us. And I think the point that you make about because we see this every game. There's the amount of people from abroad that are coming, or from or equally it's quite look around this room here, and we literally there's the breadth of the nation is covered, and it's a huge undertaking for some people to go.
Well, I was about to say, Andrew, I had planned to go down to that one. That was on my list, as well as the Juventus home one. Time had been booked off work, and
there you go.
Now it's. I mean, we had Sockgate last year. Do you reckon Chelsea would lend us their ground for the? Yeah.
I don't think you can pop to the club shop.
We can't register another ground because it was supposed to be registered before we put our team news, like our team across first 23 grounds. So we technically can't use any other ground because it hasn't been registered, unless UEFA twist the rules and said, you know what, this is something that can't be avoided. And that's where I'm talking about forfeiting the points, because if UEFA say no, you're not getting another ground, you haven't registered it, then there you go, you're forfeiting your points.
I'll tell you what would be interesting if we went the Tottenham route and did back and played and did a 5 o'clock kickoff followed by an 8 o'clock kickoff on the same day. Because
I don't fancy playing in a toilet bowl, so no thank you.
No, I mean, as in at the Emirates, but back to back, play the Champions League game followed by the Carabao Cup, or vice versa.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, because obviously we know that Tottenham did back-to-back games, and all right, it was a disaster for them because they played the men first. I think got absolutely thumped by someone like Brighton. But if it because we could be in a situation
like
where
a double header.
Yeah, where we might need points coming up to that last game to qualify. Like it's.
Well, yeah.
It's still a sticky situation, and to me, that, as I say, the club's silence is. You can't tell me that people haven't emailed the club and said what's going on with this game, so I can figure out what I'm doing with travel and whatever. And no one, Twitter is never silent. Never silent when it comes to things like that. So you can't tell me that these people that have emailed the club asking what's going on I've had an email back saying blah blah blah, we're working on it. Or that would have been plastered everywhere. There's just nothing, absolute nothing. And we said last week, obviously we were blaming Sky, but the club again is just still sitting silent on something that people really need to know what's going on. A week before Christmas, it's absolute baffling what's going on. It's just sort it out. Just tell us what's going to happen with it, and then it's done. And we can move on from it. It's not exactly as if I've not had a disappointing season so far. So, disappointment going to make to us that we've already had a disappointing season with Arsenal.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah. I tell you what, let's talk about something that's controversial. Steph Catley, left centre back. Hang on. Do you know what? Before I go there, I've completely ignored the comments this morning, this afternoon, this evening, whatever it is.
You're
Sorry,
slacking.
George. Sorry, George. This is it. I'm definitely on the bench next week. James Patterson was talking about the big problem is both our games and the Juve game has to kick off at the same time and date. That's a great one. So yeah, Jack's double header might not work out. That was probably the best idea that we've had so far, Jack. So whoever gets fired from this, because I think someone's getting sacked in the morning. Even if it is just to turn the calendar over, be office junior, Jack, but you'll take it. Yeah, Steph Catley at left cornerback. We've now apparently got 5, maybe 6. Not cornerback, crikey, that's my American football heritage coming through there. Left centre back. We've now got maybe is it 6 centre backs? Then, what's your thoughts, Laura? Who's if it was the Champions League final tomorrow, lol, and everyone's fit, who would you start?
I was saying this to James just before we come on the podcast. The last 2 games, Leah has been centre back with Steph, and I have never seen Leah look so comfortable. Which then brings me on to what are our other centre backs doing that they're not even getting a look ahead before Steph Catley? Steph Catley isn't a natural centre back. As you says, you've got Laia Kadina sitting on the bench, natural centre back. You've got Katie Reid sitting on the bench, natural centre back. You've got Lotte Wubben-Moy, who's just come back, who was our player of the season last season.
Yeah.
Not even getting a look in. I know she's had concussion protocols and stuff, but she still isn't getting a look in. So what is Steph Catley doing in training, going forward, and games? And she has proved that she's worthy of being in centre back, but it isn't her natural position. And I just think the last 2 games, Leah has never looked uncomfortable. And I maybe think that's a pairing for Leah maybe this season. It's a bit of controversial saying, but I think Steph Catley going forward with Leah Williamson is our most comfortable centre-back pairing.
Yeah, so that's a good shot. Do you think that lacks a little bit of aerial prowess? Like you say, Steph. I think Steph Catley on the ball. I'd probably take her over all of the other centre backs that you mentioned there. But when the ball's in the air, I mean, what would you? If I was an opposing manager, I'd be thinking about putting a few in the box, seeing we used to have Raffaele, we used to have Big Jen, and now we don't. And Amanda Iliestedt was obviously an aerial presence, but for all of Leah's qualities, perhaps not an aerial game. She's kind of like the one that is next to Jen Beattie, Raffaele.
Looking at our centre backs anyway, they're mostly the same height. I think the only one that's really tall is Katie Reid, and I mean, we've said it time and time again. We don't think Katie Reid's going to get a regular start either. So we've got Lena Hurtig now that's proven that she can head us in from corners. So I'm not worried about that. What I am worried about is balls coming in from set pieces and the 2 centre backs not being able to deal with headers not being able to be the first one up in the air to get to the ball. Or, I mean, if you bring Brynnes Dottir on, then I don't know what we'll do then.
Well, exactly. Yeah, I was surprised that West Ham didn't start her because, yeah. And I mean, and interestingly, like I'm going to touch wood here. We've usually dealt quite well with Bunny Shaw, but she would have a lot of fun against those two. Perhaps I don't know. There's more to it. I think often we've shut the supply to Bunny Shaw down, but
I more prefer Steph in a sense of, you remember when Rafa in the Conti Cup, Crystal Palace, putting in slides, just going for players to get the ball off them. Steph reminds me at centre back a bit like that. She's not shy to go sliding across to get the ball away. Or there's just something about Steph in centre back right now that just makes sense. So that there's
fair. What's your thoughts, Paul? Steph and Leah as our centre back pairing for the age.
Yeah, well, I would say it seems to be working at the moment.
Yeah, can't argue with that.
So, yeah, if it's working, then go for it. But I mean, that was I would say it's only Brighton, but I've said they've had a great start to the season. When we do come up against the likes of Ramirez, Sam Kerr when she's back from her injury, sure, are they going to be able to cope with those sorts of players for 90 minutes? That'll be the true test. But I see maybe what she was doing was what Rennie was doing was trialing it in a game against Brighton. Worked really well. Right, that's an option I've got. We know how Leah can play with Cordina. We know how she can play with Lottie. Just try this one. If it doesn't work, I've got a couple of them on the bench that I can bring on. I can make the changes because we know Rennie's not afraid to make changes to her game plan, and a lot earlier than previous managers have done so. So, yeah, I mean, we've got Juventus coming up tomorrow. Be interesting to see who she plays at centre back tomorrow night. If she sticks with the Leah and Steph, then you could probably say yes, this could be in for the foreseeable. Or if she changes it up again, then she's just not sure.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, Jack, as Paul says, Juve tomorrow. Have Juve got something? Who have Juve got up front that would damn it? What kind of player have they got?
Well, this is kind of ironic because I'd probably say that Juventus's biggest threat is actually crosses into the box.
Yikes!
Yeah, they've got Girelli and Caruso up top, and they tend to play a 3-4-3. Absolutely overload their wingers and their fullbacks, completely overlap, and then just put early crosses into the box. And they've been decent at it this year. I mean, I know they lost to Bayern, and to be fair, they scraped through Hacken. Like they really did not Hacken, sorry. Whoever we played before, Valerenga. Yeah, they scraped past Valerenga. But in the league, they've been pretty imperious, to be fair. I mean, they beat Inter Milan, I think, at the weekend 3-0.
Okay. 2
crosses. They've played 9 games now, something like that. 1-8, drawn 1. So they're unbeaten in the league. Through in their Coppa Italia as well. They're a good team.
All right, Jack, stop that. Stop that nonsense. We don't want facts.
I still think we'll beat them. I still think we are better. And I think
you're supposed to be an Arsenal supporter, not Juventus supporter.
You're scaring us, Jack. You're scaring us.
I don't like Juventus, actually. I've never have done there. I mean, my Italian team is Roma, so there's always a bit of rivalry there. But no, they're a solid team. They're very simple what they do.
Okay.
But the quality of Serie A women is not fantastic.
Yeah.
They've also not won the league in the past 2 seasons, it has both years been Roma as well who have won the league.
Okay.
And yeah, so I think even with Steph and even with Leah as the 2 centre backs, I think we should be fine. We should deal with it. I think we've got the best fullback in the world in Emily Fox. I can see her completely cutting off one side, and then it is then what we choose to do. Well, I mean, Emily Fox is even fantastic at defending at the back post, so I think we'll be completely fine. And just with the Steph Catley, I was thinking of a left back, centre back who's done both. And to be fair, I'm going to make the comparison of perhaps Steph Catley will become the next Paolo Maldini as she goes from her left back to centre back role. I think it was a similar age that Maldini swapped back to centre back as well in his career. So there we go, a bit of positivity for it.
I will raise a thought then with if we do move Steph into the centre. I mean, it does work well to have a left centre mid with a left foot and a right centre mid with a right foot because it's easier to pass the ball on that lot. Where does that not only leave Laia and Lotta, but also we've seen it with Fox this season with Fien Reuter sadly getting an injury, so being out. So Fox is being called up, running on rocket fuel somehow. Who would then back up Katie McCabe in that left defence position? Because then do you then put Wibbemoy or Codina to a wing? Or are we going to be rotating players out to get a new left winger to back up Katie?
I thought we'd found our new left back replacement in Caitlin Ford.
No, James. George has just burst the blood vessel. Yeah, but that's a fair point, isn't it, Chantal? Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, like, the way the players load, and Katie is one of those that can seemingly take a load. But yeah, you're a hamstring away from, but then I guess we would just move Steph back out there. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if it is that kind of Maldini move and that's Steph's new position. I think we could possibly all agree, and I'm happy that she perhaps had lost a step, and we're starting to look a little vulnerable to some of the more pacier wingers. But I think she's been terrific in centre back. But yeah. What's your thoughts, Chantal? How are we going to do tomorrow? It's like at 5:45 or something, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think so. I haven't had time to look.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going positive. I mean, I was quite optimistic at the Brighton game. The woman at the kiosk was like, "So what's your score prediction?" And I was like, "Oh, 4-0, definitely." And she's like, "Oh, that's like very positive there." And I was like, "You got to go big or go home." So I'm going for a win. And yeah, I think I don't know the starting lineup. Could it be similar to Brighton? Probably. But I'm looking at maybe like a good game and that we're going to follow this control and dominating of possession that we're having.
Do you want to go for a score? I'll make a note of these.
Oh,
and a scorer.
Put me on the spot there.
That's the whole point.
I'm going to go with whoever I pick, I tend to jinx them. So I'm sorry, Ford, but I'll go with Ford first. And overall score is going to be 3-1.
Nice. James is going for 5-0, starting with a McCabe banger.
He's a bit optimistic.
It pays off to be optimistic.
Yeah. I mean, they went 1 more than you, so it's probably 6 then. It's probably 6.
Maybe we should do that with his other team, Rangers, and then they might get somewhere in their league this season.
No. Laura, is this our biggest game coming up of the season? Because I think Juve are, with our realistic, it's that second spot that we're fighting over with them. Bayern would seemingly have first place settled. So what's your thoughts?
I don't think it's our biggest game of the season. I think maybe they'll have a bit of confidence going into tomorrow, considering the attitude of the players seem to have changed. I was the same as Chantel. I watched a bit of Beth's press conference on Sky Sports, and she said a very weird word that won't be weird, which is we play with freedom under Rennie, which questioned me, that made me question, was Jonas maybe pulling the freedom out of the players, and that's why Beth Mead has kind of come out and said we play with freedom more now. So I'm hoping the freedom will come out of them tomorrow, and we'll get a good result out of it, and hopefully going forward that'll be a good positive sign for us. I think our biggest games are most likely to be in the league going forward, i.e. Chelsea, Man City. I don't fear Man United at all coming back to the Emirates at all, not considering of what I've seen in their last 3 games and the attitude that their manager provides. Kind of gives me the signs of our manager before we sacked him. But yeah, I'm happy for us to go and get a win tomorrow. See the good positive signs back in it again.
I think it's interesting. I think we've had something that Chloe said after she left. She talked about how structured the defensive structure was a bit of a focus, and someone like Chloe is that player who likes to run, and it's just interesting. Some of the times, going back to the penalty on Friday, Stina was being ushered away by the fullback to the corner flag, and I got the sense that this time last month Stina would have gone away and just passed it back to out to the fullback, but she turns inside and shocked everyone, probably the crowd, the fullback, and probably Stina herself, and weren't the penalty. And I just felt that's interesting that I hadn't heard. That's what Steph has that Beth has said, but I got the sense that was that the structures that Jonas had put in were so specific that it perhaps just tipped over the edge to being a little bit controlled. Where you've got people like Beth and dare I say Rosa, those players that we call the fuck it players, who were just like I'm just going for it. And even Stina was being able to, showcase some skill there, and that was interesting. So yeah, I think that's a great point. What's your score, Laura?
Yeah, I'm going to go 3-1, and I'll go with Freedom Annan scoring an absolute banger rather than Katie McCabe.
Yeah, apparently I've just read here Rangers are going to win the Europa League.
No, they're not.
End of discussion. Next question. Paul.
They could never win it last season. They could never win it the season before. Not a chance of them winning it this season.
Oh, gosh. I feel like we're in the middle of some kind of domestic dispute here. And
you're in the middle of a husband and wife dispute here. That's what you're in the middle of.
Crikey. That's not where anyone wants to be. Paul, save us. What's your thoughts about tomorrow? Have you going to knock off work early, or how you going to even see that? I mean, that's sitting there with your tea on your lap.
I'm lucky that the shift that I'm working tomorrow. Well, I say lucky. I'm starting at 4:00 tomorrow morning.
Oof.
And I'll be home by about 2:00 in the afternoon.
Bonanza.
So. And even Friday night, I was managed to pick my daughter up from school and get to the Emirates in time for a 7:00 kickoff. But I think this whole week is a big week for Arsenal. We got that massive win on Friday night. We've now got to go and do the same on tomorrow night away in Juventus, get a great performance, a good result, and then take it into Saturday's game as well. And those 3 games together, collectively, as long as we get the right results, will then boost our confidence as a whole team. Say, actually, we have turned that corner. and we can now go on and we can progress further in the Champions League. We can push for the WSL as well, and we can compete with these teams. So, yeah, I think we go into it off the back of a 5-0 win, full of confidence, and we get a great result again tomorrow night.
Cool. Would you accept it? Would you take a draw?
A couple of weeks ago, I'd say yes, I'd take a draw, but now I think no. I think we got to go for the and win at all cost.
Fair. And what's that win going to look like? What's the score going to be, Paul?
Right, I think it's going to be 3-0.
Wowzers! We've definitely got a 3. We've definitely got a 3. Who's going to score the 90-yard screamer for us?
I think it's going to be 0-0 till about 65 minutes.
Oh Lord!
And yeah, we're going to be nail biting, and then we'll go and totally out of Catherine Cool hat trick.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew it. If you'd have frozen, then I'd have just said he's going to say Cathy Cool. Okay.
Surely by now, Paul, you've lost a few of these going forward. That's how you see it. It's Catherine Cool, so you must be on a few.
Right, he's
Tell you what, Paul,
ready to score. It's the play. She's ready to score.
If that comes through, Paul, we'll all be sending you a pint over, I think.
Definitely. Oh yeah, we 100% owe it. We 100% owe it. Jack. Sub question here is: can we get anything off Bayern, and do we get anything off Bayern as well? You know, we're clearly going to win by at least 2 goals tomorrow. Yeah. And I'll let you come back to that as well. But you know, what about if as long as we don't forfeit it, as Laura says, and wherever it's played, can we get a result at home to Bayern?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I almost wonder if it'll suit us in a way, having all this controversy around the game, not knowing we're a team who loves to be the underdogs. If I think back to Wolfsburg, we love a crisis.
God, don't make me cry. I love that game.
That's what I mean. We love something to be the odds to be stacked against us, and we've got players with personality and character that will stand up. I mean, I've been very, very critical at times this season, but the one thing you will always say is they do stand up, and I think we've seen that in their comments afterwards. We've seen that in the way they've picked themselves up. I mean, they just couldn't score, could they? I think that was in a nutshell, our biggest problem. And I do think now we've hit 5 against Brighton. I just wonder if there's a few players now that have had a bit of confidence and the dam has almost broken and we're going to be able to hit the target more regularly. So yeah, we can top the group 100%. We lost. We had a bad period against Bayern Munich in Munich. We didn't have a bad game. They were that first half. I thought we were decent. I thought we created chances. We just in both boxes, our quality let us down.
Yeah,
and I do think under Rene we have improved on that. So yes, we can beat Bayern. For all the threat I've talked about Juventus and their crosses, I do still think we'll win as well. I'd go for as much of an unchanged team as possible. I think Juventus are probably. I would be very interested to see if they'd beat Brighton. Actually, I do think the quality of the league isn't as good, fair. And I think their 8 wins, 1 draw is a little bit misleading in the league. I think the way they struggled against Valerenga, and I think Bayern Munich could have been considerably more than it was. I don't think we have anything to fear. I think with both Steph and Leah at the defence, at centre-back wouldn't be too much of an issue. I'd be happy to see that same old double pivot because I feel like it's almost a comfort blanket at this point.
Yes.
So I'm going to go 2-0 prediction win. And I just wonder if there's a hint of destiny that our certain Italian striker, Alessio Russo, might get that first goal on Italian soil against Juventus. Now, I'm not sure. I don't know if she's a Juventus fan, but you find in Italy, anyone who is not a Juventus fan hates Juventus.
Oh, okay.
So if she's from anywhere other than, well, they say most people in Torino support Turin. So as long as she's not a Juventus fan, there's a good chance she was going to strongly dislike Juventus and be that little bit extra fired up. So I'm going to go 2-0. I think Russo with the first goal, and I think this might be the week that actually gives Renee the job. I've got that much confidence in it.
We are riding on the crest of a wave, ladies and gentlemen. And on that note, I think we can say goodbye. So thanks, everyone. Chantal, if not Renee, it's you, I believe. But
Well, next time I'm on here, I'm changing my name from Chantal, like you've done, second vice captain. I'm going to go Chantal, head coach.
there we go. Thanks for your contribution tonight, Chantal. Fabulous as ever. Laura, thank you so much for your controversy. No swearing, but lots of arguments. You still managed to argue with your husband whilst you're on YouTube. That's quite a feat. But thank you.
I know they say swearing in Glasgow is our second language, but I don't swear that much. Maybe at the games, but just when I'm in a setting like this where kids are possibly watching, I know how to rein it in.
Well done. You're very
thank you
restrained.
for having us on.
Yes. Paul, Mr. T, if it's not too far past your bedtime now, if you're a 4 a.m. starter, thank you for staying up. Hopefully your cocoa's not gone cold. But yeah, thanks for your contribution. Stella, as always.
Yeah, thank you for having me again.
Thank you. And Jack, it's difficult to be controversial when we're playing so well, isn't it?
I know. I'm almost in this build up for a bad reputation here. I'm getting a little bit worried.
Yeah.
Well, I need a player to have a stinker in the win, so I can. I mean, I'm nearly starting to say positive stuff about Beth Mead each week.
I'm having a heart attack from your positivity.
I know. I think it might kill me off as well, to be fair.
Do you know what? I did ask Andrew before we started. I went, are you going to do your own Andrew's doghouse instead of George? And he was like, no, I'm way too nice for that.
Yeah. George is a meanie. George is a meanie. But there you go. That's me getting sacked in the morning as well. So I think we've got a Thursday show. But prior to the Tottenham win, following the apparent Juventus win. That's it. Good night, everyone. I know our producer Mel is waiting in the wings to shut this down. So yeah, good night, Gooners, and see you soon.